Sovereignty doesn't mean never seeing a doctor. It means knowing exactly why you enter the system and where your boundaries are. Welcome in, everyone, to the Yin-care podcast. I'm your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising. I'm so excited to have you with me today. We have arrived at part 5 of the Medical Indoctrination Series, Living Outside the Spell. If this series has been resonating for you, it really supports this work when you like the episode, subscribe and turn on notifications, and share it with someone who's quietly questioning the system and longing for a different way. Your sharing truly is how this medicine travels. So please help us out and help a friend. So let's begin, as we have been, by honoring your practice of gentle active sovereignty from the last episode, which was that the next time a test, procedure, or referral was suggested, to ask 2 simple questions. If I say yes to this and the result is abnormal, what is the next step you typically recommend? Or are there any reasonable options to wait, watch, or support my body in other ways before going down that path? You do not have to argue. You do not have to decide on the spot. You're simply inviting the whole flow chart. Remember, we talked about that, into the room with you instead of being walked down it one step at a time without context. Then, if you could, or if you can, pause even for just one day and notice, how does my body feel about this cascade? Is my yes coming from fear and urgency or from grounded clarity? And take a moment and just breathe. Did you have any opportunity to ask those questions? Maybe with a doctor, a dentist, a pediatrician, or another provider? How did it feel in your body to bring the whole flow chart into the room? Did anything change in how you made your decision when you gave yourself that pause? And if no opportunity came up, that's okay. Even rehearsing those questions in your mind is strengthening a new neural pathway, one where you are not swept along, but consciously choosing. If you're comfortable sharing, I would love to hear in the comments how this went for you. And just remember that your stories really help other women feel less alone and more courageous. So let's briefly recap the arc of this series. In episode 1, we named the modern healthcare as a system built to manage, profit, and control, not to grow sovereign, self-trusting humans. In episode 2, we mapped the pyramid of power, seeing how many layers sit above your doctor and imagining a new pyramid with you at the top. In episode 3, we turned inward and met the good patient, good mother voices, the inner cop within the police state of Western medicine, and how the system installs the cop in your own mind. And in episode 4, we traced the cascade of intervention, how just one little test can pull you into an entire flow chart you never consciously agreed to. Today, in this episode of the series, we're going to be asking, so now what? How do I live differently with all of this? How do I step more fully into sovereignty without having to burn my life down? And please remember, this is just a small encapsulation of ideas of things you can start to ponder. But the bigger series that will be coming is this health creation series, and then a course that will be offered, etc., that you can take a look at. But just see how this resonates. Let's just play with this part today. So we're going to focus today on practical pathways to get out of the spell. And I want to be very clear. I am not here to tell you never see a doctor again, throw away your insurance, or you're only sovereign if you go fully off grid. That's not what I'm here for. For many of you, that's really not realistic, right? It's not even ethical at times or even aligned. What I'm here to do is to help you choose your relationship with the system consciously. Build an ecosystem of support that doesn't revolve around crisis care, and take small but powerful steps that move you from victim of the system to author of your own health story. When you first see the depth of the indoctrination, it's very normal to swing between extremes. I'm never going to the doctor again. I'm throwing away all my prescriptions. I have to fix everything in my life right now. Or on the other side, this is just way too big for me. I'll never be able to change anything. Or I should just keep my head down and do what I am told. Both extremes are completely understandable, but both are also another way of losing yourself. Sovereignty doesn't mean you never enter the system. It means you know when you're entering it, why you're entering it, and where your boundaries are. Think of it less like a divorce and more like a conscious uncoupling from unconscious dependency. By the way, in my old podcast, and I believe that episode is in the early ones here, an episode on conscious uncoupling. It was a method for divorcing that was put forth by Gwyneth Paltrow. And so if you're curious, you can go back and see if you can scroll through and find. Here's a simple framework, though, for what we're talking about that may be helpful. You can think of your relationship with conventional medicine in 3 modes. Number 1, the emergency mode, for things like major accidents, acute crises, appendicitis, obstetric emergencies, broken bones. Here you may consciously choose to engage intensely with the system for a short, focused period. And with all of these methods, I highly recommend, and we'll go through this more, but learning how to be a strong advocate for yourself or your child or whoever is entering the system at that point in time. And we'll be gaining skills if you stick with these series. Selective engagement mode. You might use the system for specific diagnostics or occasional interventions, but you are not relying on it to define your daily health reality. You ask questions, you get second opinions, you combine information with your own discernment. And then number 3, default dependency mode. This is where many of us start. The system defines what counts as health, what screenings you must do, what is normal or inevitable. Most decisions are made on autopilot from fear or should. The work of health creation is progressively moving yourself from default dependency towards the selective engagement for the most things and emergency mode only when truly needed. You don't have to do this overnight, but you can start by consciously asking, for this situation, which mode do I choose to be in? Now we're going to work on building your own health creation ecosystem. So let's talk about what you move toward, not just what you're moving away from. Imagine your life as a set of concentric circles. There's the center. It's you and your body, your connection to the divine. This may include food, sleep, movement, sunlight, breath, nervous system regulation, creative expression, and much more. This is very simplified. Next circle, you're going to have your home, your relationships with your physical space and with your husband or your wife or your partners or children or parents, etc. Okay, everything in your immediate family system. Next circle is your community and your village, your women's circles, your trusted friends, your spiritual community. And next circle is the aligned practitioners outside of heavy capture. And some of these people may be captured as well. So I'm going to list some as examples, but it's up to you to determine if you feel like they're captured. Midwives, Chinese medical practitioners, herbalists, functional medicine docs, somatic therapists, massage therapists. Oh my goodness, there's so many different kinds. There's so many options, which is so exciting. And we want to be sure those are aligned practitioners in that next circle. And then the outer circle is the conventional medical system, aka the Western medical industrial complex, used consciously with boundaries. Most of us were taught the opposite, put the system at the center, then practitioners, then maybe family, and hey, maybe your relationship with your own body. That's kind of crazy, right? Reclaiming sovereignty means slowly repopulating those inner circles with real living support. That might look like learning to track your own cycle. And by the way, we have an amazing menstrual calendar journal sold over at Yin-care.com/shop. Check it out. It's made by Veronica Rickson. Shout out to Veronica of Kapu Community. She is amazing. And I did do an interview with her. You'll have to look up what episode that was. But she talks about how to use that journal, and it is phenomenal. There's no date on it, so you can use it year round and define when you start it. So you aren't beholden. If you're purchasing this in the summer, you haven't missed 6 months of the year. So it's pretty awesome. It can also look like tending your digestion, honoring your sleep as medicine, reconnecting with the sun and the earth, and then finding one practitioner who actually listens and isn't fully owned by insurance. You don't need the full council in place to begin. Just start with 1 or 2 pieces and let the ecosystem grow. All right, so let's talk about some practical moves you can make over the next 3 to 6 months. And let's make this very grounded. Here are a few concrete moves you might consider over the next few months. Number 1, choose one area to bring home. Pick one area of your health where you feel most called to reclaim agency. Your menstrual cycle, sleep, digestion, your nervous system regulation, or your child's day-to-day health. Begin studying your own patterns, how you feel, like just simply noticing how you're feeling, what emotions are arising in your body, where those emotions are when they come up. That is huge. So start paying attention when someone says something that's upsetting or angering or puts you in fear. Where are you feeling it? Start tracking that. What flares symptoms in your body? So if you're experiencing a health challenge, what things are flaring those symptoms? What calms you as well? This alone starts to shift you from being monitored to self-observing with love. And we want to find one less captured practitioner. Rather than trying to clean up your entire medical life at once, look for just one practitioner who listens deeply, doesn't rush, respects your intuition, and isn't fully owned by a hospital system or insurance. That might be a Chinese medical care practitioner, a midwife, an herbalist, a functional medicine practitioner, or someone doing somatic body-based work. Let this be someone who helps you build capacity, not just chase symptoms, and make sure that you know your core values and that your practitioner's values align with yours. And renegotiate one existing medical relationship. Think of one provider you see regularly, maybe a primary care doctor, an OB-GYN, a pediatrician, or some sort of specialist, and ask yourself, do I feel small or scared in their presence? Do I feel more myself after I see them or less? If I could change one thing about this relationship, What would it be? You might decide to prepare a short list of questions next visit that get at some of your core values. Write down the values you hold most deeply, the ones that may come up during your care. Practice saying, I'll think about that and get back to you. Or if it's really misaligned, begin the process of finding someone else. You are allowed to choose practitioners who honor you and align with your values. And make a simple health money plan. I'm not giving financial advice here, but I do want to invite you to shift in perception. Instead of seeing health supportive foods, supplements, therapies, or courses as like extras, you might begin to treat them as core investments in your sovereignty. That might look like this: setting aside small monthly amount for non-insurance care, saving to take one course or program that truly resonates, or gradually shifting from insurance pays for everything to insurance is there for emergencies. That's a big perception shift. And I am responsible for daily health creation in my life. Again, this is a process and not a requirement. Lastly, let's gather your herd. None of this is meant to be done alone. In fact, I was privy to a new way of practicing gathering a herd. I have a dear friend who has been going through a major health challenge, and she reached out at the suggestion of another friend of hers, to gather her herd and to gather around her and to help her make some of her health decisions. We can do this. Like, we tend to keep all of these things private and to ourselves, and it can be alienating and feel lonely. And if we don't share what our true values and where we want to go with our health with our friends, oftentimes our friends will put what they think is good for them on us. But if we share with them our own values, our friends want what's best for us. They love us and want to support us if we are clear. And again, some of those friends that we may think are friends might not be aligned. So finding those friends and reaching out is really important. And if you can use these episodes as a way to kind of curate the friends that you want to gather around you. So share these episodes with a friend or a partner. Start a small discussion circle or invite other women to listen and talk about their experiences. When we name these patterns together, they stop feeling like personal failures and start looking like what they are: systems we can collectively outgrow. So the reflection for this episode is that I want to leave you with, especially for this whole series, where do I most want to renegotiate my relationship with the medical system? And what would a more sovereign version of that relationship look like? And that might be, I want to change how I approach my annual visits, or I want to approach my child's care differently. Or I want to build a relationship with a practitioner who sees me as a partner, not a problem. So write it down. Let it be specific, but gentle. And for this final gentle act of sovereignty in the Medical Indoctrination Series, I want to invite you into a tiny ritual. Write a 1 or 2 sentence declaration of sovereignty about your health. Something like, in my health, I reserve the final say. Or, my body's wisdom has a seat at every table. Or, I may consult many experts, but I am the authority in my life. Write it in your own words, language that makes your body sigh in relief. Put it somewhere you're going to be seeing it: on your bathroom mirror, your altar, your journal, your phone lock screen, or if you're like me, I have a bazillion sticky notes on my computer monitor. You might not want to do that. But we all have our ways. Put it where you're going to see it and be reminded. And then choose one small concrete action that is in alignment with that declaration. Asking questions at your next visit. Looking up a practitioner you've been drawn to. Asking your friends for practitioners too. Friends can be a great resource. Starting a practice of tracking your cycle or symptoms with the menstrual calendar journal. Or simply pausing before saying yes to something you're not sure about. And if you are feeling that you're saying yes to something when you're not sure about it, can you notice that you're overriding that? Can you feel where the no is and where the yes is coming from? That is really good information. But let this declaration be a quiet line in the sand, not against anyone else, but for yourself. If you feel moved to share your declaration, I would be honored to witness it in the comments. So please do share those. Just remember, your comments give the courage for others to share. We have to start coming out of the box and sharing these challenges that we're all having. We do not all have it together. And in order to start claiming our sovereignty, we have to start sharing our story and where we're struggling or what our strides are as well. As we bring this Medical Indoctrination Series to a close, I want to say this very clearly. You are not a bad patient. You are not a difficult mother. You are not too sensitive or too much for feeling that something is profoundly off. You are a sensitive instrument. This body is an instrument receiving lots of information, more than we even know. And it can be loud and clumsy system that is surrounding us. You are a sovereign being who has been living inside a powerful hell for a very long time, and you are waking up. My prayer is that these episodes have given you language for what your body already knew, loosened shame and self-blame, and handed you a few concrete tools to begin walking a different path. This series will always be here for you to revisit, and I will continue weaving these themes into future episodes, interviews, and offerings. And if you do choose to check it out on YouTube, I did segment it into its own playlist. So if that's helpful to share the playlist or to go back and listen to all of them in a row, it's there for you. If this journey has served you, it truly supports our work. As you know, when you like this episode, leave a review, share the series with someone whose soul you know is ready for it, and subscribe or turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. You can find the Yin-care podcast on YouTube and Rumble in video. And I believe it's going to be on video soon on Spotify, as well as on Apple Podcasts. And connect with us on Instagram at yin_care, as well as TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube and Rumble are all at Yin-care. We are still riding the wild, potent wave of the year of the fire horse, a year that invites you to take your reins back, to move from being managed to being the creator of your own health. And tell me you are not feeling that. You know you're feeling that. And because this year demands radical action, I am thrilled to share with you where we are journeying. Now that we have spent this series analyzing and deconstructing the medical indoctrination spell, it is time to actively step onto a new frontier. Coming up next on the podcast is a brand new 7-part series called The Health Creation Journey. I'll also be interspersing several interviews I'm doing with some amazing women. So they will be interspersed, but again, I will also segment them into their own playlist. And they're all very clearly delineated as like these were the medical indoctrination. Those will be the health creation journey. We're going to be moving, though, from diagnosing the problem, right, to actively cultivating the soil of our physical and biological and spiritual autonomy. we'll be diving into the semantic deceit of healthcare, rewriting primal birth room trauma, exposing the hidden psychological payoffs of compliance, and learning how to drop our cosmic intuition out of the sky and directly into the density of our bones so we can never be bullied by clinical fear-mongering again. This upcoming series is designed to prepare you for the launch of my flagship 6-week container of the same name this fall. You're not going to want to miss a single movement of this next map. So please ensure your notifications are turned on, your channel subscription is active, and your bell is clicked so that you are alerted the exact moment episode 1 of the Health Creation Journey drops. May you stay rooted in your herd and rise wild and free. I am Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising, and this is the Yin-care podcast. Thank you so much for walking this series with me. Until next time, honor yourself, celebrate your strength, and empower your transformation with your Yin-care. When our sensitive tissues are off, everything is off. That's one of the many reasons I absolutely love Yin-care's Herbal Wash. This incredible Taoist formula gently nudges the vaginal microbiome back into balance. Not to mention, it feels amazing. So get your hands on some Yin-care's Herbal Wash today. That's YINCARE.com. Restore, rejuvenate, and refresh with Yin-care.